The Road Home by Penstroke. Chapter 2. Plans and Diversions. Never again.
I'm sure yesterday wasn't that bad.
Flashlight walked alongside Applejack, the pair heading to town together. The sun had cleared the horizon and was beginning to ascend to the sky. The weather team's schedule had it particularly cloudy for most of the day, with a breeze here and there. Overall, it was going to be a wonderfully pleasant day, which was a stark contrast to Applejack's current mood. Fluttershy, do you want to hear what happened yesterday? Applejack grunted, struggling to not grit her teeth at the memory alone. First, before Lee even got to work taking measurements, he's got Lee picking curtains while wearing some Chaisley suit and talking like everything was some sort of game. When I finally picked my curtain, my prize was something he called a barrel of ponies, which I guess equates to Discord making I don't know how many copies of me like I had just nosedived into the mirror pool. But was that all? No. He then had my clones go and start measuring the castle.
That doesn't sound too bad,
Flashlight commented. Applejack snarled. Discord had them using their tongues. Fluttershy instinctively rolled her tongue in her mouth, as if trying to wipe away some bad taste.
Their tongues?
Yeah. It was an army of clones of me pulling on each other's tongues. They were stretching them out longer than any pony's tongue should ever stretch, and using them to measure the castle. All the while, he had every clone acting like his little puppet saying, Yes, Mr. Discord, sir.
Oh, my. But you still got the floor plans for the palace, didn't you?
It's about the only good thing that came out of this whole mess. I dropped them off of rarity after you had the leaves to feed your animals. Applejack said, as he and Fluttershy began to reach the outskirts of town, passing by a few other ponies going about their business. The chosen path was taking him straight into the direction of Twilight's new palace, which was easily visible from any part of town.
I know it must have been frustrating, but if you look at it another way, Discord did do all the work.
Fluttershy doubtingly pointed out.
All those copies were just his magic. It sounds like he didn't even have to lift a hoof.
Well, that's true. Why didn't he just go and do it himself and leave me out of it?
Would you have been happy if he left you there and finished the whole castle by yourself?
Applejack huffed but shook her head. No, I suppose I wouldn't.
See, you made the job enjoyable for him by staying. Yes, it may have been the teensy bit annoying, but that's just the way Discord is. It's kind of like how sometimes you'll find Piggy's pranks a little annoying, but you know it's all in good fun.
Applejack and Fluttershy drew closer to the castle, beginning to climb the steps that led to a yard's yellow front doors. I know you mean well, Fluttershy. Applejack put a hoof on the door, pushing it open slowly. But sometimes, I think you do a little too good of a job covering for Discord.
Oh, Applejack, don't tell me you're still miffed about the whole dumb thing from yesterday.
Fluttershy, did your voice signs? Why, no, it did not. Oh, buck away! The doors to the castle opened, revealing Discord standing on the other side of the threshold. He was holding a tiny tray in his paw and a pair of metal tongs in his claw. It was all just a playful joke. Now, would either of you like a cinnamon roll? I had the plans. Did you make them? Applejack asked. No, I just provided the place settings. Discord melted behind himself. Set up in the overwhelmingly empty main foyer of the castle was a large wooden table filled to the brim of teacups, teapots of various shapes, sizes, and colors. Pinkie Pie brought the cinnamon rolls.
Your super special friends meeting to help another friend cinnamon rolls.
Pinkie sat up in her seat at the table, appearing from behind a large teapot, the massive shape of her head. She waved her hoof excitedly.
Come in and have one.
Rainbow Dash, who was sitting opposite of Pinkie Pie, turned around in her seat to look at the front door.
Yeah, they're great.
She promptly took another bite of her own cinnamon roll, the heavy frosting smearing her lips as she chewed contentedly.
I would love to have one.
Fluttershy said with a smile. Discord nodded, using the tongs to take a cinnamon roll from the tray. At the same time, one of the plates from the table sprang to life, floated over, and hovered like a pacing cloud until Discord deposited a roll on its clean surface. And what about you, Applejack? Discord asked while Fluttershy flew over to the table with her plate. Applejack looked to her friends for a moment before focusing back on Discord. Alright, I'll have one. I thought we were here to talk about what we're going to do for Twilight's Palace, not have breakfast.
We are, darling. I was just waiting for everybody to arrive.
Randy came out from one of the archways that bordered the staircase at the rear of the foyer. She was using her magic to push along what resembled a large schoolhouse chalkboard on wheels that had been covered with a sheet. She persisted to face the table and then smiled.
My friends, but... Oh, Discord. Would you be a dear and maybe move all your lovely tea sets out of the way? I don't think Applejack and Rainbow can see.
Oh, but of course, Discord said. He snapped his tail, causing himself and Applejack to disappear from the door. Applejack reappeared in the seat next to Rainbow Dash, a warm cinnamon roll on the plate in front of her. Discord popped back into existence, floating a few feet above the table, where he reached out and plucked a small cork from the spout of a teapot. Air began to leak from the spout, and as it did, all the tea sets inflated like they had been one large balloon. The deflation continued until the teapots and cups became a tablecloth, resting beneath a few lingering plates. Discord then snapped his claw again, disappearing one moment, only to reappear in the seat at the head of the table next to Fluttershy and Applejack. Rarity gave a smile and a thankful nod before clearing her voice and continuing.
Ahem. My friends, thanks to the floor plan Discord and Applejack provided me, I have come up with a brilliant design for the palace. I was up most of the night working on it. The elegant architectural beauty of the plans has inspired me in so many ways. So, without further ado, allow me to share with you on my vision.
Verity pulled the sheet away, revealing what was, in fact, a wheeled corkboard. To the board, numerous paper designs and concepts had been pinned carefully in place. At the center of it all was a large, front-perspective sketch of the castle, which showed several cutaways of the interior.
Now, while I'll still need to work out many of the details, I see the castle being broken into 3 areas.
Rarity cast a small spell, causing a thin, focused beam of light to shoot through her horn to the papers on the corkboard.
One section will be devoted to seeing a library. I recall just how elegant the library in the Crystal Empire looked, and I thought we could achieve something just as wonderful here. That, I think we can all agree, is something Twilight would really appreciate.
The other 4 mayors and 1 Draconic was not in agreement.
Now,
Rarity continued, moving her magical pointer to another part of the floor plan.
The palace is, of course, a palace, and will likely have royal duties. I don't quite know what it means for Twilight to be the Princess of Friendship, nor am I sure how we can contribute to that. But I believe this section of the castle would be best suited for such duties. After all, it is where the throne room is.
So, where exactly are Twilight, Nyx, and Spike going to be leaving? Rainbow Dash asked through a mouthful of cinnamon roll. That's the whole reason we're doing this, isn't it? Rarity moved her magical pointer once more, using it to circle a few of the cutaways she had drawn on her sketch of the castle.
That would be this part here, considering the 3 of them all used to share a bedroom and a bathroom at the old library. Even this modest increase in space is going to feel very different. But I'll admit, to pull off what I have planned here, and for the rest of the castle, we'll need to do more than just bring in furniture.
Applejack swallowed the small nibbles he had taken from her cinnamon roll, cautious of it being some sort of chaotic trap. How much more exactly?
Well, we were already going to face a big challenge putting in basic utilities, Applejack. Because of that, I thought it wouldn't be too much more trouble to maybe knock down a few walls and put some others up. I mean, there's no ballroom. Every palace must simply have a suitably sized ballroom.
Rarity levitated a few other sketches onto the cupboard, folding them over to her friends. The drawings showed different room concepts. Bedrooms, bathrooms, the library, as well as proposed ballroom were depicted with Rarity's usual style.
I mean, just look! Wouldn't it be simply fabulous?
Rarity, not to let the air out of your balloon, but we can't hope to have all that done before Spike and Nyx come back, Applejack said as he stood up from the table. I thought we were just going to be making this place livable. I mean, the small part you have planned just for Twilight, Spike, and Nyx is fine. We could maybe get that done in a few days if we all hunker down and get enough help. The rest is too much. We can't do it all.
But Applejack, Verity pouted, this isn't like an outfit where I can just make the hat and do the dress later. This is a palace. Doing a few rooms and then leaving the rest vacant just isn't proper. What if Twilight had to host some visiting delegates? She'd be a laughingstock on the international stage while having such a poorly prepared palace.
Applejack took a calming breath, trying to remain sympathetic and understanding. I get what you're saying, I don't think Princess Celestia would ask Twilight to host any important visitor before this place was ready. And I'm just saying we need to prioritize. Twilight, Spike, and Lynx need beds for sleeping, a kitchen, and a bathroom. If we can get more than that done, then fine. But Spike and Lynx are coming back tomorrow evening. We'd be lucky to get a few rooms full of first before then.
Ooh, ooh.
Pinkie Pie had her hoof in the air, waving it like a school-age filly needing to use the bathroom.
Yes, Pinkie. Do you have something you'd like to add?
Verity asked.
First, can somebody pass me another cinnamon roll, please?
Discord picked up another roll with serving tongs. But of course. He just smiled, snapping his talons. With a characteristic pop, Discord was suddenly wearing a broad shoulder pads and a helmet. Go on! Da-da, ba-ba, da-da-da-da-da-da. Pinkie White was out of her chair in a moment, ready to the far wall of the castle's foyer with her plate in her mouth. She ran at Discord, chucked the cinnamon roll, causing the pastry to spiral perfectly into the air. Rarely audibly gasped as the roll soared through the air, threatening to spread its sticky frosting all over the crystalline walls. Still, with a great leap, Pinkie Pie got into the path of the roll, catching it on her plate. Then she landed and bent her head forward, catching one final dribble of frosting that had come free of the roll. It was a perfect catch, and Discord celebrated the achievement by suddenly appearing next to her. He wore a black and white striped jersey and threw his arms above his head in two straight lines while blowing a whistle. Treat! You two down? Applejack asked flatly. Pinkie Pie and Discord glanced at one another, just shrugged before returning to the table. Pinkie set down her plate and retook her seat as she spoke.
Second, what if Nix and Spike weren't coming home tomorrow night?
Rainbow Dash wiped the frosting from her mouth with a crumpled up napkin before dropping it on her plate. What do you mean? Did Twilight tell you something?
No. But that's good thinking, Rainbow.
It is. Pinkie Pie nodded her head firmly.
You bet! If Twilight was around Ponyville, she'd find out what we were doing and ruin the surprise. And a ruined surprise is worse than cake being accidentally let down in the rain. That's why we should get Twilight to leave. And then Nix and Spike can go do whatever she is. And then all three of them can come back in a week instead of tomorrow night.
Verity smiled as he looked back at her at the signs with renewed hope.
Yes, I see. You mean we should send Twilight off to some place with Nix and Spike. Basically, distract them so we can work on the palace. It would give us the time we need.
Even with awake, it would take an army of ponies to get all this done, Applejack said. We also can't expect the ponies of Ponyville to donate all the supplies we need just to furnish the entire castle. Though, if you ask a Mr. Davenport of Quills and Sofas, I bet not only would he do it with a smile, but he would probably take a huge commission for it. Fireside finished the last nibble of her cinnamon roll, leaving only tiny crumbs behind in a pristine, unneeded napkin.
Maybe we could ask around outside of Ponyville.
But how are we going to get the messes out? Well, not to point a claw, but there are two mayors at this table who might have a knack for training up volunteers. One who's the self-proclaimed fastest flyer in all of Equestria, and another one who is able to inspire ponies to join in on the large song and dance numbers. Discord said, even made the flashing magical signs appear rainbow in Pinkie's heads. Bling, bling! And, to borrow your honesty for a moment, may I make an honest observation? Applejack, why are you being such a downer? Don't you want to help your friend? Of course I want to help Twilight. Don't you ever go saying otherwise, Applejack said. She almost stopped her hoof, but managed to rein her temper and speak calmly. I'm just saying these things are what we have to think about. Otherwise, this will all just turn into a big mess, and we'll end up making things worse instead of better. I'm just worried, that's all. I think we get that, but come on. It's not like we haven't done crazier things. Raymond Dash motioned towards Discord. I mean, we reformed him!
And I'm sure Discord would be happy to help any way he can.
Marcy added.
Isn't that right?
But of course. Discord said with an overly toothy grin. It would be my pleasure to help Twilight feel more at home in this beautiful palace. I think Applejack and I could do some really great work if we collaborated again. Wouldn't you agree? He asked as he looked at Applejack. I think we work together more than enough yesterday, Applejack said. Still, we all are dead set trying to get all this done in just a week. Now, a few things are going to need to happen pretty fast. First thing needs to be buying us the extra time y'all keep talking about. We need to get Twilight out of Ponyville and keep her legs and Spike distracted. For that, we need... Applejack first looked at Pinkie Pie, then paused. Slowly, a mischievous smirk spread on her lips as she looked away from Pinkie Pie and focused instead on Discord. We need someone who really knows how to cause a little chaos. Discord popped into existence outside of Applejack's barn. He was rubbing his paw and claw together, dancing on his little hind legs. It was like a cult that had been told he could get as much candy from the candy store as he could carry. He was going to be taking every advantage of every moment. Still, after expressing his elation, the spirit of chaos shook his shoulder, called it to his claw, then politely knocked on the barn door. Darn it! Twilight's shout of aggravation came moments before the princess threw open the door with her magic. Her mane was disheveled, and her eyes were bloodshot from a lack of sleep. Do you realize what you just did? I not, Discord answered plainly. After all, isn't it rude to enter a princess's bedroom unannounced, even if it's temporarily in her friend's barn? Twilight moaned, turning to go back inside. She was guarding daggers at a pile of ash on her workbench, the same pile she had been struggling with for days. I was so close to fixing this book. All I needed to do was put on the finishing spell, and you broke my concentration! Well, I would apologize, but you can't really blame me this time. Discord reached into Twilight's ears, dragging around for a moment with his claw, before pulling out a scroll. With your usual scaled mailbox out of town, Princess Celestia if I dropped this by. It must be something important if she asked me to get it to you, though. One could easily argue it may not be important, because of the simple fact she entrusted to me to deliver it. It's equally important as it is unimportant until it is opened. Reminds me of a cat, what's new? Anyway, I doubt it's anything dangerous. Maybe it's just a friendly hello. Maybe she's asking you if you like the new castle. Maybe we should just read it. Twilight snatched the message out of Discord's claw. She undid the seal and unfurled the message. She began to read down the elegant cursive that was Princess Celestia's writing.
Dear Twilight, I am sorry, but I could not write you regarding this matter sooner. I wanted to verify some information before getting your hopes up. A task I was able to accomplish this morning. There was once a very powerful repair spell known to the lands beyond Equestria. A spell capable of undoing the damage done to almost anything. I believe this knowledge of the spell was lost hundreds of years ago, but it may still exist within the library of the Crystal Empire. The only clue I can give you beyond it is the spell's name, which itself is in a long-forgotten dialect of the Griffin Empire. The spell was built as a means of swiftly repairing castles during one of the more violent times of their era of their history. Right before the whole entire Griffinstone thing, you know, how it goes. The name of the spell is Ulysses. I hope this helps. Sincerely, Princess Celestia.
Twilight's eyes glimmered, as if she had just discovered the magic of friendship all over again.
There's a spell!
She turned to scroll around, shoving the message into Discord's face. There's another spell! You know what this means? That you wasted all this time trying to perfect a spell you've been working on, and now you're not going to use it. A sound that was part loud, part annoying moan escaped Twilight's.
Yeah, I suppose that is true. But this also means there is a spell out there that can fix the library. One that won't require me to sift through a ton of acid splinters.
Twilight began moving about the room. She levitated a pair of full saddlebags from a hook on the wall, placed them on her back. She began to fill them with scrolls, quills, ink bottles, and basic supplies. Well, this certainly is a fortuitous turn of events. But why are you packing your bags? Discord asked, as he, instead of reading the letter, began folding it over and over again. Twilight began pulling books from the small pile of tomes that survived the library's destruction largely unharmed. I'll need to go to the Crystal Empire to track down the spell. Discord twisted and bent to scroll, the many folds beginning to form the shape of a winged creature. Certainly doesn't seem like you're planning a short trip. Should I ask Applejack or one of your other friends to keep an eye on Spike and Nix when they come home tomorrow? Twilight paused, her eyes wandering to the ceiling before she shook her head. No, I don't want them coming home until I learn this new spell and fix the library. In fact, Candace and Shining Armor, we're going to leave Canterlot for the Crystal Empire tomorrow morning. If I get to Canterlot today, then we can all take the train together. That would be nice after all the crazy that's been going on. It certainly sounds like a delightful family train trip. And, if I'm not mistaken, you might even be able to catch the noon-hour train to Canterlot. Discord snatched his claw, making a large grandfather clock drop from thin air and land beside Twilight. The sudden impact startled her, but her eyes quickly moved to the clock's face, which showed it was just about 15 minutes before noon. I'm sure they could make a space if a princess really wanted to ride. That, or you could just fly. Though, doesn't the noon-hour train have lunch service? Discord mused, as he began making the final few folds to his origami masterpiece. The mention of food Twilight in his stomach audibly grumble, which she followed with a small laugh of embarrassment. Still, Twilight quickly regained her composure, closed the flaps of the old saddlebags, and tried towards the door.
Yes, I believe it does,
Twilight said.
You'll tell my friends where I went.
But of course, it's always been my dream to be a messenger boy for princesses. Discord sassed as he used a pair of tweezers to make some microscopic folds to finalize his origami. But yes, I'll tell Fluttershy when we have tea this afternoon. Twilight pushed open the barn door, wincing as the bright, sunny day assaulted her eyes. It took a few moments for her sight to adjust, but once it did, Twilight took a step outside. She called on her magic to shut the door, but before she did, she turned back and looked at Discord. Just in case you have any funny ideas, let me say this. You aren't to touch anything in this barn until I get back. Get it? Got it. Discord lifted his feet off the ground and floated in midair, though his attention remained focused on his creation.
Good! I'll be back in just a few days.
At that, Twilight pulled the barn doors shut. Discord remained where he was for just a few moments, but then floated lazily over to the window. He saw Twilight taking off and flying towards Ponyville. He looked down to his claw, smiling at the manager Origami Fluttershy. He just managed to fold out the scroll. Now, what was that code message again? Oh yes, the apple is out of the tree.
The apple is out of the tree.
The little paper Fluttershy repaid, in the Pegasus' own voice. It spread its little wings and fluttered out of the Discord's claw like a butterfly. Discord cracked open the window, allowing his little message to get outside and begin his journey. He watched it fly for a few moments before pulling the window shut. He put the talons of his claw together, preparing to snap himself away from the barn when he paused. Discord looked around once, twice, then a third time. Then he smiled out, reached out, and nudged one of Twilight's quills out of place. A moment later, Discord was gone, laughing to himself as his mind got to work. After all, he still had so much chaos to sow in the name of friendship.
The apple is out of the tree.
I can't believe she bought that! Rainbow Dash said. She held the origami Fluttershy in one hoof. She and Applejack were overlooking the barn from the Apple family's orchards. They were supposed to be Discord's backup, in case Twilight figured out he had faked Celestia's note. Rarity was at the boutique, further developing her designs for the palace with Fluttershy. Pinkie Pie was already on the parade path to get volunteers for the project. Applejack leaned against a nearby tree, smiling. Well, I'm glad she did. I ain't just say it says about 2 trees with 1 cut. Yeah, sure. Rainbow said as he poked the origami Fluttershy. Let's giggle if this if ticklish. Rainbow then abruptly turned her head to look at Applejack. Eyebrows caught in confusion. Wait, what? We just got Twilight, Spike, and Nix out of town for a week. How's that 2 trees? Does he mean 3? It's 2, because they're out of town and Discord's got something to work on. Something that doesn't involve being a pain in our flanks. Rainbow Dash snarked, continuing a few laughs just behind her teeth. Oh, wow, he must have really gotten on your nerves yesterday. You have no idea, Applejack said. She shifted, taking her weight off the nearby tree and standing upright. She then tossed her head, motioning for Rainbow to follow her. Come on, we best get back. There's lots of work to do. The first thing I'll need is for you to fly to the Crystal Empire. Dash hopped to the air, hovering beside Applejack. She still held the paper Fluttershy in one hoof. Right now? Yeah, right now. I'll need you to ask around the Empire for something. All their homes are made out of crystal, so they may be the only ponies that can tell us how to build and take down walls in the new palace. Since, it must have a ballroom. Applejack tilted her voice into a mocking, high society tone. What kind of palace will it be if Rarity couldn't attend foofy parties and pretty dresses? Rainbow Dash allowed her laughter to flow freely. I hear that! She then cleared her throat before sticking her nose in the air.
Oh, Lady Applejack, could you just imagine this castle being worth anything at all without a ballroom?
Applejack stopped, putting a forehook to her head, continuing her own mocking voice.
Oh, the thought alone lays its need of a fighting chance. Why, you can just imagine some ruffians might do with this place otherwise. They turn it into a sweaty gym or...
Rainbow Dash stopped, her smile growing as her voice returned to normal.
We should put it in a pool!
Now you're the ones that going off a rocker. Where am I going to put a pool?
Well, in every single establishing shot of the tree, there's this nice little lake right next to it. What, you guys don't see it? It's right there. It's right next to the tree. It's a nice little, cool little mirror-like pond.
Rainbow Dash circled around Applejack, hovering in front of the mare.
It doesn't have to be inside. We can put it outside, behind a trunk or something. Some of those balconies would make clearer diving boards, and we can put in some inside side too. I mean, we're going to have to do something with that backyard anyway.
What backyard?
Duh, the big grassy meadow behind it,
Rainbow Dash said, using your free forehook to point in the direction of the palace.
This is begging to be turned into a backyard pool. Come on, you know it sounds cool.
Applejack rolled her eyes. As cool as it might sound, it ain't happening.
Come on, get flying. Falling,
Rainbow Dash said with a groan, before holding out the origami fluttershy.
Take this. Well, that's what I'll take it. I don't know. What am I supposed to do with it? It's still moving.
Just crumple it up and throw it away, Applejack said. Rainbow Dash glanced at the paper, and moved to free her forehook to persist to crush it. But the little origami fluttershy carried at its imminent demise. Rainbow tried to force herself to continue, but she groaned and held it to Applejack again.
Look, just give it to Fluttershy or something. She'll think it's cute.
I suppose so. Applejack gingerly took the paper pony, holding it as if it was a ticking bomb of chaos. Now, go on, get flying. You're burning daylight.
Yeah.
Rainbow Dash turned and flew skyward. She flew through a strange cloud, did a loop, and got her bearings to begin flying north. Still, even as she flew, Rainbow Dash's mind turned to a previous thought. One that left her grumbling and bursting through clouds trying to frustrate and...
A pool is too cool an idea, she said to herself. Even Canterlot Castle doesn't have a pool. All it has are gardens like the statue garden, or the animal garden, or the garden party garden. I bet if Verity thought of stuff like that, we'd be building a backyard.
Rainbow Dash's frown into a grin.
Yeah, you can't have a palace without royal gardens. Where would you hold garden parties and pool parties could be high-class events?
Ceiling bit more into the wind, finding the motivation to try to trip into Crystal Empire in time.
After all she needed to do was talk to Rarity as soon as she got back.
The last of the test came back normal. You're in the full free healthy, your highness.
Shining Armor and Keenan both breathed a sigh of relief. They were in a room of Canterlot's most renowned hospital. Keenan lay on the bed, resting on her side while Shining Armor stood nearby. He had been holding foreholes when the doctor came in, but with her words that were touched revolved. Shining Armor leaned to the Keenan's, embracing her and placing a hoof on her side. Together they bathed in her relief. He was so worried, so fearful that T-Rex rampage had put more than just Keynes' life at risk. After Keynes had been saved from Tartarus, Shining took her straight to the hospital. Every test the doctors could think to do was done. Her body had been examined from the point of her horn to the tips of her rear hose at least 3 times over. But it was all okay.
Shiny, did you feel that kick?
Grinning ear to ear, Shining nodded and gently rubbed the side of Keynes' gravid belly. I did. The doctor chuckled as he held her clipboard in her magic.
I figure your fool telling you that you need to stop worrying. Now you've already been discharged, so you're free to leave whenever you want. Also, as a little side benefit to this battery of tests, we've confirmed your due date. You'll be having that little Villier colt in about 4 weeks. Thank you, Doctor.
The doctor bowed to the royal couple before turning towards the door.
Just doing my job, Your Highness,
she said before walking out of the room. Shining Armor placed a kiss on Keynes' back as he began to slowly pull away from their embrace. You want to wait a little while before we leave?
No,
Keynes answered with a shake of her head.
I think I've been cooped up in this hospital room long enough. Besides, we should go tell your parents the good news. They've been just as worried.
Shining nodded. Okay, I'll pack your things. You take all the time you need getting up. Getting up. One of the many things that had become much more challenging in recent months. Keynes began working on herself closer to the edge of the bed, pulling some of the sheets with her. She had to pause once, as her unborn foal delivered a powerful kick to her insides. They had elected not to know the gender of their child until he or she was delivered. But with how strong kicks were sometimes, Keynes was placing her battle in a healthy, strong colt. Either that or a little alicorn filly. Still, with another tug, Keynes had perched herself on the edge of the bed. Down came a long, slow ginger slide. Bracing herself with a little of her own magic, Keynes lowered herself to the floor. The long stay in the hospital had, at the very least, given her host some time to recover. But they'd still been aching so badly before T-Rex attack. Keynes imagined it wouldn't be long before they were hurting again. She gladly enjoyed the respite while it lasted. But while her host had been allowed to rest, Keynes couldn't help but feel other parts of her had suffered. Yes, she knew part of it was her hormones talking, but she felt so much bigger than she had been. She didn't even want to think about stepping on a scale. She probably gained 5 pounds between lying around all day, the hospital meals, and her cravings for pastries from a nearby corner bakery. You ready, honey? Keynes looked over at Shining, eyes wandering to his saddlebags, a bit bewildered.
You already have everything packed?
I had a few things to put away before the doctor came in, but yeah, we're ready to go.
Sorry, guess the mountain is moving slow today.
Keynes joked, shifting on her hose and moving to Shining. She planted a kiss on his lips before starting to head towards the door.
Do you mind if we stop by the corner bakery before we go to your parents' house?
I want to get one more of their chocolate croissants before we head back home. You sure? Shining asked as he followed Keynes out of the room. My mom will probably have lunch on the table by the time we get to their house. A pregnant mare is allowed to have dessert before lunch if she wants. Twilight twirled her tongue, shifting between the sweet peppermint candy on the other side of her mouth as she flew over to Canterlot. The lunch at the train had been great. A sandwich with salad and lemonade. It had enough food to sate her hunger, and it had helped to pass a good chunk of her time on the train, along with the Ponyville newspaper. Of course, even days after everything had happened, there'd still been an article about the palace. The paper was also running her personal ad, asking any pony that checked out a book to return it to Applejack's barn. Still, she'd be able to put all that behind her once she had the repair spell. She had written it down as soon as she reached the train station. She then memorized and figured out multiple pronunciations of the words on the train itself. After all, she didn't want to end up with a spell for growing bigger vegetables by accident when she spoke with the librarian of the Crystal Empire. Rolling the peppermint candy with her tongue again, Twilight banked to catch a small breeze beginning her descent. Her landing was gentle, though perhaps not perfect. She carried a bit too much forward momentum, forcing her to skip a few times before coming to a complete stop.
Still can't stick the landing,
she laughed to herself, feeling better just getting out of the barn, chasing this new, much more promising possibility. Looking back, she had been banging her head against the wall, trying to sift through a pile of ashes just to repair one book. The previous spells he had been researching just wasn't sensible, so he had to be sure to thank Princess Celestia if this new course spurred more fruit. All that, however, would have to wait until she got to the Crystal Empire, which would be sometime the next day. Or returned to the train station. The magical crystalline locomotive of the Empire would be arriving bright and early the next morning. It would be pulling Cadence and Shiny's royal car, which had more than enough room for extra passengers. It would be a pleasant ride up, and then Spike and Nyx would spend time with Cadence and Shining while she did her research. It was the perfect plan! Allowing that last little chunk of peppermint, Twilight trotted up to the parents' front door. She knocked a few times, just to be polite, cracked it open and stuck a step inside.
Hey! Is any pony here?
The loud patter of hoofs drew Twilight's attention to the stairs, where a familiar Fitty skidded to a stop on the smooth wooden floor. Nyx looked through the gaps of the staircase railing, smiling before scrambling down the stairs.
Twilight! Hey, Nyx.
Twilight stepped all the way inside, shut the door, and spread her hose just in time to receive a big, welcome hug. She squeezed Nyx back, squishing her hair tightly against her chest.
Oh, I've missed you. Have you been having fun?
Lots of fun.
She and Spike have been reading his old comic book collection,
Velvet said, coming out of the kitchen with Nightlight and Shining Armor following in her wake. The older mare reached Twilight and gave her daughter a welcoming hug, not unlike the one Twilight had just given to Nyx.
You didn't tell us you were coming. Well, it was kind of last minute,
Twilight said as she switched from hugging her mother to hugging her father.
I need to do some research into Crystal Empire. I was hoping I could ride north with Cadence and Shiny.
Shiny was the last to hug Twilight. What kind of research? Don't tell me Equestria needs saving a second time in a week, he joked. Twilight patted Shiny reassuringly on the back before pulling out his hug. Don't worry, it's nothing that bad, I promise. Now, where's Cadence and Spike? I'm up here! Spike called, waving from the far side of the staircase banister, before coming down the stairs. Doesn't need to put my comic book away. Still, Twilight, does this mean the library has got a new shipment of books? Twilight jogged over to the base of the staircase. Using her hoof to quickly gesture Spike to zip his lips, before putting a smile back on her own. No, it hasn't, but I've told the post office to hold on to everything until we get back. Spike greased the bottom of his tab, forcing a smile on his own as he gave an awkward thumbs up. Oh, that's great! What's great? What's great? Twilight and everybody else turned, looking to Cadence who made their way out of the kitchen. Twilight quickly went up to her sister-in-law, pulling her to her hug, though it was gentler than the one she had given the rest of her family. You look so great, Twilight said. So I guess this means the doctors gave you a clean bill of health? Yes, we're both doing fine. Cadence used the forehead to gently tap on her gravid belly. Nothing's changed as far as the doctors go. My due date hasn't even moved. Unlike this fool, who hasn't stopped since we finished lunch. Can I feel again? Nix asked, walking up beside Twilight Cadence. Okay, but remember to be gentle. Nix nodded, moving to Cadence's side, and putting her small hoof gently against the swollen, pink-furred mass that was her aunt's belly. Nix stood there a few seconds, her ears turned forward and body perfectly still. Then she smiled as her stillness was rewarded. The foal kicked near her hoof. Poor martial art for user, dead before his time. Knowing how curious Nix is, I'm surprised she hasn't asked where foals came from. Shiny said quietly to Twilight as he, Velvet, Spike, and Nightlight watched Nix's mouth grow wider with each kick he felt through Cadence's tummy. Oh, she asked that as soon as we got back to Ponyville after Heartswarming, Twilight said, and unlike our parents, I couldn't tell her a story about how foals magically appear. It doesn't work as well when the villain you're trying to explain things to actually did come into existence from a spell. Of course I know where fillies come from. My whole entire life has been because of a mad stallion decided to mix my blood with Twilight's blood with the armor and it came out of nothing. What did you tell her? The truth. Shiny, Velvet, and Nightlight looked at Twilight in disbelief, mouths hovering slightly. You had to talk with her? Velvet said, like she needed to scold her daughter for parenting decisions. Oh no, Twilight said, waving her forehead back and forth. I didn't have that talk with her. I just told her that foals grow inside a mare's womb until they are ready to be born, and that they start growing when a stallion and a mare really love each other. Please give me some credit! Does anyone else want to feel? Cadence asked, interrupting the conversation. It's probably the best time. The foal is kicking up a storm right now. She, or he, is probably just trying to impress her cousin. Shiny joked as he stepped up beside Nix and put his hoof to hers. Then laughed again. Wow, you weren't kidding. Twilight, Velvet, and Nightlight moved to Cadence's other side, each putting a hoof on her belly and smiling as he felt the foal inside squirming. The only one who did come closer was Spike. Don't you want to feel the foal kick? Twilight asked. Spike put up his claws and shook his head. Thanks, but no thanks. Maybe it's because I had from an egg, but I don't get the appeal of feeling a baby kick. I think I'm just gonna go up back upstairs. Next, I'm gonna pull out the next comic. Should I wait for you? Yeah, I'll be up in a second, Nix answered, though she did so without removing her hoof from Cadence's side. Spike nodded to this, heading back upstairs while the rest of the family remained in the hallway, continuing to feel the full kick. He was wearing a smile, except for Cadence, whose joy was interrupted by winces of pain whenever her unborn foal kicked at her sensitive internal organs.